Going over IRS Form 4506, Request for Copy of Tax Return. So this tax form has been updated since the last time we recorded this video, which was in 2023. There's a 2024 version that's been released, and I decided to update the article as well as this video. We'll put links in the show notes to the article as well as some of the other forms that we'll discuss here, specifically when it comes to versions of Form 4506 that you can use without having to request your tax return sent to you and without having to request or pay a user fee. So we'll go over the form, and then we'll talk about some other alternatives on ways to get taxpayer information that you may be searching for without having to go through the process of actually requesting your tax return. So this is a one-page document. There are instructions on the back that kind of go into detail, cover mailing addresses and things of that nature. We also cover all this in our article, so if you'd like, you can check that out in the show notes. So this is a tax form that either business owners or individual taxpayers can file to request their tax returns. So we'll start with line 1A and 1B. So in this case, John Doe and his wife, Mary Doe, are requesting copies of their tax return. So you'll see John Doe's information as well as his social security number. This could also be an individual taxpayer ID number or ITIN. It can be an employer ID number or an EIN if you're a business owner. In line 2A, if this is a joint tax return, then you would enter the spouse's name as well as his or her social security number. So we've got that information here under line 2A and 2B. In line 3, we have their current address. 123 Anywhere Road, and then we listed their previous address, which was shown on the last return that they filed. Generally speaking, the instructions also state that if you are working with different addresses and you have not changed your address on file with the IRS, then you should file a change of address form, either IRS Form 8822 for individual taxpayers or IRS Form 8822-B for business owners. That's the official change of address form. We'll put links to those as well in the show notes. If you're having the tax return sent to a third party, sometimes mortgage companies may request this information, so you can send that name, address, and phone number. You can put that in line 5. So not to get too far ahead of ourselves, but sometimes mortgage companies want to use tax return information to verify income. There is a way around that using a different version of IRS Form 4506. So we'll get to that in just a moment. So in this case, we requested the Form 1040, although you can request business tax returns, Forms W-2, any tax returns for generally up to 7 years. So you can only enter one type of return number. So if you needed to request a copy of your Form 1040 and then a copy of your partnership tax returns, like your IRS Form 1065 or an 1120S for S corporation owners, then you would have to complete a separate tax return request for your Form 1040 versus your business tax return. If the IRS needs to certify copies for either court proceedings or administrative proceedings, you would check this box right here. That way, the IRS understands that they need to certify those tax return copies. In box 7 or line 7, we're going to enter the ending date of the tax year or the tax period for the tax returns requested. So in this case, we're requesting Form 1040s for 2020, 2021, and 2022. So we're going to enter 12/31/2020, 12/31/2021, and 12/31/2022. There is an additional note to see the instructions. Let's pop down and just take a quick look. So you can use a quarter, a calendar year, fiscal year, or a quarter. So, and then there's certain, I guess, conventions for how you would enter a quarterly ending date versus an annual ending date. So make sure that if you're a fiscal year taxpayer, that you're being precise with the end of your tax year. That way, this does not give the IRS any conflicting guidance or instruction. So generally, in my experience, anytime there's been a request that is very clear, very specific, it makes it a lot easier. Whereas things that are vague, if for some reason I didn't put, if I was a fiscal year taxpayer, but for some reason I was, not thinking correctly and I just put 12/31, that may not be processed because that might not line up with the end of the fiscal year. So just be careful. In line 8, the $30 fee, that's actually a decrease from the 2021 version, which was listed as $43 per tax return requested. So you would need to submit a check or a money order payable to the United States Treasury, enter your taxpayer ID number, again, a social security number, ITIN, or an EIN, as well as, quote, Form 4506 request on your check or money order. You would include that in the envelope with your completed Form 4506. Do not staple it or use a paper clip to attach it. They should just be in the same envelope but not attached. So the cost for each return is $30. I couldn't enter that here, but we did request 3 tax returns up in line 7. So we multiply that and we get $90. So that's the $90 fee that should accompany this form. If the IRS cannot find your tax return, then they will refund your fee. So if your third party, like the mortgage company, is requesting this information, then the refund should go to them, and you would click, or you would check the box on line 5. Otherwise, you can leave that blank, and then you would receive a refund of your tax fee or of your tax return fee. So when you sign this tax return, you're attesting that you've read the attestation clause, and that you have the authority to sign your tax return request. So if it's a joint tax return, at least one spouse has to sign, but it doesn't say that both spouses are required to sign. Sometimes tax form instructions will be very specific. This one just says that at least one spouse has to sign. If there's a corporate entity, then it would be a corporate officer, 1% or more shareholder, partner, managing partner, executor, administrator, some official party. You would enter that title here. If line 1A is for a corporation or some other tax entity that is not an individual. So you're certifying that you have the authority to request this tax information on behalf of your corporate entity or your taxable entity, so, or your estate or trust or whatever. So be sure that you do have that authority before you sign this, and then also pay attention to the fact that the IRS will reject this form if it's received outside of the 120-day mark of the signature date. So if you sign this and you date it 7/22/2024, and then the IRS doesn't get this until right before Christmas, it's going to be rejected. So going back to the top of the form, there is information about how you can obtain tax information. So if you have an online account, you can log in to get your tax return transcript, your tax account transcript, your record of your tax account, your wage and income, so information from or tax information from your W-2 or 1099s, a verification of a non-filing letter, so that shows that the IRS does not have a record of your tax return. So you can request all of that through your IRS account. You can also request so you can request a copy of your tax transcript using IRS form 4506-T. That's a fairly common request form. And then what a lot of businesses would do, specifically lending institutions, may request using IRS form 4506-C, which is using it's the income verification system. IVES, I believe, is the acronym. And that's another way that they can use the IRS tax information in a secure manner without having to go through everything about your tax return. So that's probably a little bit more common nowadays than actually just pulling down tax returns that no one really wants to keep around after they've verified your income. So we'll put links in the show notes to all of the different 4506 series articles and videos that we've done. There's a 4506 form for people who believe that they're victims of identity theft. There's a short form transcript verification. So we'll put links to all those in the show notes. So the IRS highly recommends that if you can get the tax information that you need without having to request your entire tax return, then that might be a preferable option. So that's all we have for this video. We do break down a lot of this stuff a little bit more in depth with written instructions that show you where to mail your tax return request and how to process your payment and things of that nature. So if you want, just click the link in the show notes. You can also check out our website, teachmepersonalfinance.com. Type in IRS form 4506 and you should see all of the different articles that we've created on this form. And the variations of this form. So if you like our articles, please subscribe to our newsletter. If you like our YouTube videos, please subscribe to our YouTube channel. And if you have any questions or comments, or if there's another topic that you'd like to see in an upcoming video, please hit me up in the comments section. Thank you very much and have a great day.